Hello. Selamat pagi.
Hi, I am Elvira Arul, and I do a little of everything. I sometimes sing, I sometimes act, and I sometimes sing and act. It's a skill. And I sometimes sing, act, and dance. I was one of those kids that you could hardly get to sit still. I would, because I'm a hyperactive child. As a toddler, I think I didn't crawl that much. This is what my dad tells me. You went from crawl a bit, instead of walking, you started running, and you had so much energy that you would literally, so my cousin and I would do this to get us to fall asleep better. My aunt goes, get them to just, go and touch the wall, have a game, see how many times they can do it before they tire out. By the end of the day, we were knocked out by, I think, 7:38, because we'd literally do this for hours.
Are we sharing?
Mom and dad very different. Mom, church. So from the musical side, Mom is more the gospel stuff. Gospel, church, music. Mom's a pastor, so she has pretty much done everything with regards to music in many churches. And then dad is the rocker. So dad is that's the two extremes. Mom, very church, hallelujah, and then dad, been a long time. Yeah, so that's my thing.
Macam kuda. Tengah-tengah show kan, semua orang tengok kan.
Like all children, you grow up wanting to be a policewoman. Then I wanted to be in the army. I think a large part of me still wants to be in the army. But I still want to be a cop, I guess. I think that's everyone's dream secretly, because we all grew up with that first game of cops and robbers, and I was always the cop. I was both. I was a very good robber too. Hardly ever got caught. It's not a bad thing. Anyway, so, sorry, what was the question again? Unmoved and cold, I must have seen when he told me so sincerely. Dream? No, I kind of stumbled into it. I guess because I was singing pretty much all my life, I kind of stumbled into it. In college we had these steps outside just as you enter, and a bunch of us would sit down. Some of the guys would be playing the guitar, or I'd be playing or something like that. And we didn't realize that we were entertaining people around us. Until one day we were playing and a guy just threw his cap down, and then we were laughing and joking and singing, and we didn't think of it, right? And next thing you know, but I think about 3-4 minutes later, this guy comes around, this visiting tourist or whatever, takes money. He's standing there and he's watching us, but I saw him, but I didn't realize he was like watching. 5-10 minutes later, he just puts in like $50 in there, and there are like 5 of us there. So we're like, hey, supper money. And then a week later, a friend of mine was like, hey, I need a band for a show I'm doing. He had just started doing events at that time, also a college mate. And so I was like, okay, sure. So I put a band together and we practiced, did some songs, la 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 la. Went there, did the show. About 3 weeks later, he hands me this blank name check, and he goes, and I'm looking at it going, huh? He goes, you don't get paid, ah? Oh, ding! And that's how the rest of my life began. I've always heard a melody in my head. I've always heard a melody in my heart, in my ears, and I've always been driven towards it. So in a nutshell, music really is life for me. Whether it's behind the console, doing sound, or in front of it, or performing, or singing in a choir, or producing, or arranging, or writing.
Tapi sungguh pun banyak terharu.
Dreamgirls. Well, Dreamgirls was, everybody has a timeline, and there are certain things that are catalysts that change you onto a different path. Dreamgirls was one of those. It was a beautiful experience. I met some amazing human beings there. And then you have the experience itself and playing the role of a character that was loosely based on life. It's a very heavy role. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. One I wouldn't trade for anything else. remember watching a replay of Jennifer Holiday's where she sang that song for the first time on an award show, and I was like blown away.
I'm not living without you. You see, there's just no way, there's no way.
I remember thinking to myself, that's an amazing thing that she made me feel with just those 4 minutes, where I felt her pain and I felt her story and I felt her struggle and I felt her anger and betrayal and hurt, and all in that short span of time. And I thought, wow, I didn't know the words, but later I discovered that that's called being a storyteller. And so I was like, this is interesting. I opened my eyes to a lot of things with that experience, and I'm grateful for it. Did it change me? Yes. Did it change me? And did it alter my behavioral pattern in a lot of ways? Yes, it did. I just learned. So I went through the life cycle of needing to learn a lesson at that point in time, and I learned many lessons. So yeah, it was a good thing.
Did you ever stop to notice all the love we've shared before?
In 2014, I did this show. It was a F1 performance. It was the gala night. And it was a big show for me. It was, I guess, in my professional career, that's probably the biggest thing I've done thus far, where I shared the stage with one of the world's most prolific songwriters and producers, David Foster. And then I'm standing backstage, I'm dressed in my gown and I'm like all prim and proper and very girly, and I'm shaking like a bloody leaf, like this. I'm really shaking. And before going up on stage, so the guys helped me up the five steps there, but those 5 steps felt like the 5 steps to the rest of my life. So 5 steps I'm going up. By the time I reach the top, I'm making sure my heel isn't in my dress and I'm moving about. And then David introduces me and he goes like, when I first heard her voice, I was blown away. And I was like, he's talking about me? You know, it was really, I guess that on the spot I just went, oh, crap. In my mind I'm going, don't F up, don't F up, don't F up, don't F up. Just, know your words, make sure you get everything right. So yeah, so that was an amazing experience. I guess for me, I've had many amazing experiences, but that is one of those like top 3 for sure in my professional career, only because I felt like I was watching myself from above as everything happened. Like anything past that stage, I don't remember what happened on stage. Like people tell me things and I'm like, I have no recollection of that at all. I just remember watching myself from above and going, how are you not freaking out? Someone telling a story and I'm listening. These are big things for me. Or if I'm telling that story, it's important because it needs to be heard. Stories need to be heard, lessons need to be heard, felt, experienced. You never know who's listening. Over the years as a performer, as a storyteller, I've realized that certain things come to me to be said. I don't know why I have to say it sometimes, or I feel compelled to say it. But after I say it, I realized it needed to be said because someone needed to hear it. I've had people come up to me and go like, I came here today, I just wanted to forget everything and not think for a couple of hours. And I guess that whole thing became about that person needing to hear the words that he needed to hear. And he goes like, what you said, totally helped with me making a decision. I was like, oh wow. So I guess that's a byproduct, but not necessarily the main reason why I do it. I do it because I feel compelled to. I cannot explain why, I cannot define it, I cannot put it into a sentence. More stories to tell. I have stories of people who can't stand up for themselves. I have stories to tell. I have stories to tell. I have powers that be that need to hear these stories. There's so much to do.